Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? My name is Bob Blitz, and I'm the chair of the Board of Curators Committee on Intercollegiate Athletics. About 4 or 5 months ago in Rolla, Missouri, there was a resolution passed to design new improvements to Memorial Stadium. At that presentation, Coach Drink left us with a quote. And what he said was, "I stand here trying to convince recruits and their family of something they can't see. Today, he can tell them, see this, and he can tell them that in 2026, you will be playing in that stadium and your family will be watching you." This project is a reality because of the brotherhood that I mentioned back in 5 months ago in Rolla. That brotherhood has remained intact, and it consists of the administration led by Moon Choi, and I can't go without saying a kudos to Ryan Rapp for supplying us with a tremendous financing plan to go through with this project. The athletic department, now headed by Laird Veach, doing a tremendous job. We're so happy with him. And finally, the Board of Curators. Without the Board of Curators passing the resolution that they did today unanimously, and also 5 months ago in Rolla, Missouri, that here, this here, would still be that. And guess what? It wasn't going to change for a long time if we didn't do it now. The decision to invest $250 million in Memorial Stadium was not a whim. We learned that the most public-facing signal of championship expectations is the quality of the stadium, of the university, and you can see we're looking for championships, and you can expect championships. We also learned that a successful football program just dramatically increases enrollment, in-state, out-state, retention of students, and an absolute wonderful experience for everybody involved in the university, the students, the fans, and our great donors, and the faculty. It affects it in all positive ways. Most importantly, we learned that the failure to invest in this today would create a rapid decline in what is now our rapidly improving program. Every metric that we looked at compelled us and directed us to make this investment now. You are now going to hear from DLR, who is our architects. They are going to explain to you the new amenities, which I think are very exciting, and I think you'll all agree to that. We are then going to hear from President Moon Choi, Board Chair Robin Weniker, and Athletic Director Laird Veach. Coach Drinkwitz sends his apologies for not being here. He says his time and the time of his football team is pretty much occupied because they have something to prove. Hold your questions until the end, and we'll take them all then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Curator Blitz. On behalf of DLR Group, thank you and congratulations on this momentum occasion. To the Board of Curators, University of Missouri Intercollegiate Athletics, it's an incredible experience to be working with you all, and I'm excited to really help bring this to life. My name is Ryan Freeland. I'm a sports design leader with DLR Group and the design lead on this project. And I'd like to take a minute to just explain and showcase what to expect come 2026. So first and foremost, this project will impact and elevate all Mizzou fans' experience. From the new field lighting and the show controls enhancing game day atmosphere, to the modernizing restrooms and concessions along the east and west concourses, enhancing Wi-Fi connectivity, and modernizing the audio and expanded video display on the north end zone. So to put it in perspective, the new end zone video display that you see today, that was installed in this past off season, was about a 40 by 90. We're going to have about a 35 by 125, or 135, I'm sorry, about a 20% increase, and it's going to sit. The current board sits about here, and we're going to move that up so everyone has even that much better of line of sight. If you put your eyes over here on my far left, your right, you're going to see the new Rock M Bunker Club, or the new Rock M Club that sits underneath the Rock M, underneath the berm, connecting you to that tradition, celebrating the history of Faurot Field. The next over, you start to see the new loge products. We have 600 loge seats, 2 different products. The lower product is the Rock M Loges that will have access to the Rock M Club that will have that elevated F&B product, heated seats. Above that, we have a more typical kind of small group seating, small loge that will have access to a semi-private concourse bar area as well, again, enhancing that F&B amenity. Adjacent to that, you'll start to see the new suite product. It's creating an indoor-outdoor experience, really starting to connect the suite holders during the game to the exterior, bringing in those sounds of the game and the atmosphere right into that suite. To put it in perspective, that suite is 100 feet closer to the end line than your east and west suite products. So you're bringing the fans collectively closer to the game, closer to the gridiron, and really magnifying the intensity and the atmosphere of Memorial Stadium. Not to mention a new front door. The gateway on the south side of campus, really starting to play off of tradition, celebrating the 6 columns, that entry sequence at Gate 1, expanding Gate 1, and giving back some of the plaza that's currently now parking, giving that back to the pedestrian, creating an asset not just for game day, but also for 365 for the university and pedestrian. Behind me, you will start to see the mezzanine club and mezz club seats. We have 300 seats that are back right up to that mezzanine club. The interior starts to look like this here on the right. It's a 500-person club that will be not only a game day club, but will also be able to bring on all sorts of different events 365. Whether it's a wedding, whether it's academic, it's being used for all events throughout the region. And then you can see a little closer up that entryway, that gate line starting to come into that space, really celebrate, really creating an iconic moment as you're entering Memorial Stadium, and you know that you're coming to watch Mizzou. And then lastly, we have that upper deck, the level 3, the Tiger Dens, along with additional suites up at level 3. It's really starting to play off of that outdoor patio experience, sitting there in your backyard watching the game, except this time you can still see the south end zone scoreboard, you can still see Memorial Stadium in the game, and it's really going to be an amazing experience, also being connecting and looking back at Jesse Hall from that deck. So with that, come 2026, we're going to have about 4,000 fans stacked up 90 feet high. It's going to be an amazing experience. You're going to see the amount of activation, the amount of celebration, and really creating that intimidating face that coach and the program deserves. So with that, thank you.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be here. Before I start, I want to thank the curators for their vision and their bold thinking. This investment is going to be not only great for the University of Missouri, but also for the state of Missouri, and we're very pleased with that. And so your leadership really matters, and we greatly appreciate it. I also want to thank our outstanding athletics director. And during the past 5 months, he has been out and about, regaining, I would say, the trust of our fans and our donors. And already he has raised significant money for this project. More to go, but great start. Memorial Stadium since 1926 has been a very special place for Tigers. We heard from Curator Graves what Memorial Stadium meant to him. And what a special moment for him to be able to approve the most important expansion that we've had in Memorial Stadium in its 98-year history. This investment is only possible because we believe in Coach Drinkwitz. We believe in the student athletes. We believe in the coaching staff. This is also possible, this investment, because we believe and support fans throughout the state of Missouri and beyond. This facility is designed to bring championships to Mizzou, and we could see that within our grasp. We're already starting off 2-0. I don't think there's another Power 4 team that has shut out opponents for the first 2 games. This is exciting. This is exciting. So the announcement today really is a celebration of both our tradition and hope for the future. And the success that we're seeing on the football field, basketball arena, turns into more support for all of our programs, academic, research, and extension. Last year, we had the highest number of applications ever in our history. This year, we're ahead by 38%. That's momentum. We're truly excited. So as an SEC member, the most important conference in the country, we want to be an even stronger partner, stronger member going forward, and that takes investment. So rest assured, we're going to work hard throughout our every sector to generate the revenues that we need to make sure that this project is done on time and on budget. And we want to invite all of you for the first game in 2026, where we celebrate the grand opening of this very important project for not only Mizzou, but the state of Missouri. Thank you. With that, let me ask our board chair, Chair Winokur, to come give her remarks.
When Mizzou entered the Southeastern Conference 12 years ago, we were a bit of an outlier. Yes, we were and still are the most northern school on the map, but we are also the only Midwestern school in the SEC, and that has come to mean something to us as a fan base. We Midwesterners, we Missourians, are just a little humble, especially when it comes to talking about ourselves. When we first entered the SEC, we did what we Midwesterners do. We lowered our heads, kept to ourselves, and we did the work. The people of Missouri are determined and proud. It's woven into the fabric of our culture. Today, we are issuing a challenge to the Mizzou family, a legion of alumni, students, and fans that spans this state and every part of the country. Our challenge is this. When it comes to what we're doing in the classroom, in the research labs, in the clinics, and on the field of play, the time for modesty is past. Mizzou is on a roll. No longer can we be satisfied to be the best SEC school in the Midwest. We aspire to be the best SEC school, period. The best athletics, the best academics, and the best impact on the world. The Memorial Stadium project is a signature project that elevates not only Mizzou athletics, but our university and our state. It demonstrates our commitment to being highly competitive in the SEC by not only enhancing the experience of our donors and fans, but also for our current and future student athletes. On behalf of the Board of Curators, we have a lot of people to thank. First, our fellow curator, Bob Blitz, whose leadership has challenged us to think bigger and better on this historic Memorial Stadium project, while also leading the Mizzou Intercollegiate Athletics Special Committee. Thank you to Vice Chair Graves, whose expertise, insight, and engagement with our administration has strategically led our Finance Committee and lit the way for the Memorial Stadium project. And thank you to each member of the board, with a special shout out to Curators Lehman and Williams for your engagement on this project and your ongoing commitment to athletics during your terms. We are also grateful for our Mizzou leadership, President Moon Choi, CFO Ryan Rapp, Athletic Director Laird Veach, Deputy Athletic Directors Marcy Girton and Eric Morrison, Coach Eli Drinkwitz, and General Counsel Mark Mangini. Each of you and your teams has uniquely championed this project and made it better. We are proud of the culture you have created for our Tigers. Together, we are humble stewards of one of our state's crown jewels, the University of Missouri, and we thanks to each of you. And Commissioner Sankey, thank you for joining us. I know you take pride in the cohesive footprint of the SEC. While we may be on the northern edge, let there be no doubt that thanks to the University of Missouri, this is SEC country. And yes, it does mean more. When it comes to the SEC, we are certainly not the new kid on the block anymore. We are leaders who compete at every turn. As I begin to approach the end of my tenure chairing the Board of Curators, I do so with great satisfaction and anticipation because I know momentum is in our favor. Everywhere you turn at Mizzou, there is a new facility to see, an impressive accomplishment to celebrate, an advancement to showcase, and exceptional teams to cheer for. All of this creates the incredible momentum that we have been building across our campus. I know that the pieces are in place for unprecedented success on the field and in the classroom. There's a renewed energy not only across all of athletics, but across the Mizzou campus and throughout our state. To the Mizzou family, let's elevate our expectations, believe in one another, invest in Mizzou, and reach for what's rightfully ours. I now turn it over to our new and very dynamic Director of Athletics, Laird Veach.
Not sure about the dynamic part, but I appreciate it. Thank you, Robin. It is a day for thank yous, it seems. So I want to share mine as well. First of all, thank you, Commissioner, for making the trip. I know I speak on behalf of all the athletic directors. We are very grateful for your leadership and all you're doing, especially at this time. I certainly want to thank the board as well for your vision and your passion and support of athletics, and particularly this project. Athletic Chair Blitz, your passion for this has really driven it and got it to this point. So thank you, Chair Winokur, for all of your leadership and the entire board for moving this forward. President Choi, it's already been a great partnership, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this as we tackle this project together. I also want to thank, while we're in Kansas City, take a moment to thank our Kansas City fans and for all your support and passion for Mizzou. You may not know this, I was actually born in Kansas City. So we moved out when I was about a year old, so I can't say I have a lot of memories from those days, but I do have a lot of memories from my early days at Mizzou, working with the Kansas City Tiger Club. I actually have memories of Big 8 basketball tournaments at Kemper Arena, so I know the history and tradition well. I also know how important this city is going to continue to be to our future. Whether it's donors, fans, investing in what we're doing, the corporate community, this is a really important market for us, and you will see me and our staff here time and time again. The word momentum, as we've talked about several times, can't be overused. Obviously, we have a top 6 football program, it seems, with the rest of the SEC at the moment. A little quick stat for you, we put 1,500 Hill tickets, so general admission tickets, on sale for $50, and actually sold those out in 23 minutes. So my comment to our staff is we actually underpriced those, is what that means. But it tells you the excitement that we have. General admission Hill tickets sold like that at $50. We're anticipating a sellout for the season, as we've talked about several other times. We were down to just one game, Arkansas, at the end of the year. So we're looking forward to that and carrying that forward. We have a lot of our other sports getting started as well. I mentioned earlier volleyball, cross country, women's soccer. Both our golf programs are underway, and we are really looking forward to both basketball seasons and our winter sports. There are a lot of reasons to be excited. I want to add another one. We will officially break ground on this project on November 30th. So as we take on Arkansas for that last home game, we will we will officially kickstart this project. You'll actually see some activity out there on site, kind of prep work, getting ready. So we are marching forward quickly and aggressively. You'll see us work through the 25 season, as was mentioned, be done by the 100th year in Memorial Stadium in 2026. I will remind our fans that we still need your support. So as we are moving forward, we're moving forward in good faith that our Mizzou loyal fans are going to say yes. They're going to say yes when we ask for their support. They're going to say yes to purchasing tickets. We are confident, given all the momentum we have, that these special tickets are going to go fast. For all you media folks, there's a QR code here, so if you just want to print that in all of your publications, just go ahead and print that, and fans can go right there to purchasing tickets. But we are very grateful, really looking forward to this exciting project and all that lies ahead. With that, I want to ask you to turn your attention to the screen for a quick special message, and then I'll turn it over to Curator Blitz.
Board of Curators, just want to say thank you again for your final approval of the Memorial Stadium project. Really want to say I appreciate Bob and Robin for your time and dedication on task at hand, and the rest of the board for seeing the vision. Want to say a special thanks to President Choi and Laird for all their support and all the hard work in making these pieces come together. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you to our fans for your support, but also a challenge. If you build it, we need you to come. We need you to show up and buy tickets and really invest in this new North End Zone project. Appreciate everyone involved. It's going to be a big investment into the University of Missouri, into the state of Missouri. MIZ.
I hope it was worth everybody's coming and that you learned a lot about our new stadium, who participated in it, and things like that. We're now open for questions, so anybody, Mr. Manor here will go around and identify anyone who has a question.
Just ask that you say your name, your media outlet, okay. And who your question is directed to also.
Yeah.
Blair Kirchhoff with the Kansas City Star. Thanks to anybody who can answer the question. I understand seating capacity will go to about 65,000 for this.
Ryan. Oh, you want to do it?
Laird, is that 65,000?
It'll be just about 65.
And will you lose any seats during the construction?
Just the general mission seats on the hill. I don't believe we're losing any along the corners. If that's, can somebody confirm that? Are we losing any of the corner seats? But I know we're losing the hill.
We're still working through the phasing plan exactly on how that's going to break down, so depending on some of the technical, but yeah.
Gotcha.
So.
Thank you.
Sam McDowell with the Kansas City Star. For whoever wants to answer it, but Bob, they had mentioned the fact that you thought, bigger and better at this project. Could you just kind of take us to the fruition of this project and kind of how it unfolded, and that this was what you guys arrived at?
Well, it was rapid. Board of Curators set their mind to that we were going to improve this stadium. All the indications was that we needed it. It was the right time to do it with the winning football program. And from the beginning, everybody just did everything they could to figure out how to get this done and get it done on time, quickly, and within budget. So I can't tell you there were any rocky roads during this journey. Everybody just got on board and did it. Administration, athletics, and especially the board.
Laird, another one from your hometown paper, Vahe Gregorian. I wonder if you might just reflect on what you remember about the stadium during your playing days at K-State and even when you were recruited at Missouri. And I'll ask the follow-up after that, but what it was like then compared to what we see before us.
Yeah. Man, this is a long time ago. Oh, whoa. All right. Is anybody back there? Did that happen on its own? Okay. All right. Wow. Warning of some kind, I guess. So actually, my memories date back to when I was being recruited as a player. I think I've shared with y'all before. It really came down to Kansas Stadium, Mizzou, from my recruiting days. So I had some recruiting visits over in the early days. I remember sure being impressed with the stadium at that point. Now compared to the others I had seen at that point and the changes that had not been made. But you know, it's evolved dramatically since then in a lot of ways. I do certainly remember some important games there. I actually ended up winning most of the games on the other side, but really enjoyed my time and really enjoyed my time on my recruiting visit and came really, really close to coming to Mizzou.
And just the follow-up really is, what does this say about the evolution in college sports? I know it's kind of obvious, but I mean that this is what it seems to take today, and you've seen that through different phases of your own career.
Yeah, you know, it really is important that we invest, not only because of the fan experience and the experience for the players on the field, but this will solidify our long-term ability to generate the revenue we need to continue to compete. Right? It sends a huge message to, you know, the football nation that Mizzou is serious, that we are committed to winning, and we're committed to do it right now at this time, particularly in the midst of all the change and transition that we're seeing in college athletics. There's some places that have chosen to pull back on projects like this, but I appreciate our leadership for recognizing the opportunities now, and we need to push forward, even if it means that there's going to be challenges. We work through that change, and we're doing this on top of it. Long term, it's 100% the right thing because it'll position us the right way in the big picture.
Hi there, Callum McAndrew, Columbia Daily Tribune. This is for whoever can answer it. You've mentioned a few times now getting this done on budget and on time. Do you anticipate seeking state funding at any point to get to that point?
What was the question? Do we anticipate seeking state funding, as what he asked?
So I think we anticipate any source of revenue that we can get. And if the state will pitch in, we're not shy about asking them, but wherever we get the money. There's no reason to believe, because we mentioned it a bunch of times, that we're going to be behind schedule or over budget, just in case you imply that question was implied.
Gabe DeArmond with Power Mizzou. Laird, you kind of alluded to it, but why in this day and age does it make sense in your guys' mind to spend this money on this when a lot of places are spending money to acquire the talent on the field?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, first of all, it doesn't change the need to acquire talent on the field, right? We've got to. This isn't an either-or situation. It's got to be both. And if you think about the long-term position it puts us in financially, if you think 5-10 years down the road, the money that's going to be generated for this is going to be critical. So if we get the kind of support, when we get the kind of support we need from the Mizzou faithful to help us philanthropically to do this and do it right, it'll position us to be in a better position long-term financially. And we got to take advantage of the window, right? The time and the momentum. And many times you see schools not be willing to double down and invest when they're winning and they're being successful at this level. So it really is important that we see this window, we take advantage of it, and do this now, because we're going to be in a better position down the road, even though there's challenges, right? We see that and we know that. We know how to manage it, but it's definitely the right thing long term.
Yeah, let me just follow up with that. In some of the things that we learned, we have actual anecdotal evidence of some teams that did very, very well and then did not follow up and invest. And they went from Heisman Trophy winners and winning NCAA, winning the championship, to being mediocre to less. Now some of those same teams are now investing to get back, trying to get back, like $800 million in. So the time to keep the momentum going, and that's a word that's been used a lot, was this was the time, and we couldn't let it slip by.
Eli Hoff, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Question for Laird. The philanthropy component of this has come up a couple of times today and throughout this process. Just how much do you have closed or in terms of commitments at this point in time, and what does that effort need to look like as this actually breaks ground?
Yeah. So we've established a goal of raising half, so 50% of the project philanthropically, $125 million. We're over halfway there in terms of overall commitments. I would say we have a lot of really good conversations going with several of our donors that will put us in a position to further that along. But we do have a lot of work to do, and we need them to say yes and support us. But we're confident we have the capacity and passion to do it.
Genevieve Smith with the Columbia Missourian. Outside of Memorial Stadium, how do you plan on managing maintenance and remodeling of other existing athletic facilities?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one too, if you don't mind. I would acknowledge, and I have publicly at other times as well, we have some catching up to do in a few of our other facilities, particularly with some of our Olympic sports, and particularly with even surfaces and things that just need to happen in the near term. Clearly our focus from a large facility project standpoint is on this. But we also need to do some things to invest in our programs and bring them up to speed. So we're currently working on a plan on that. I can't tell you exactly how and when all that's going to happen, only being here 4 months, but I can tell you we're going to tackle it soon and get on top of some of those challenges.
We have a question back here.
Kyle Helms with ABC 17 News in Columbia for Laird. You pointed out in your presentation earlier just the other schools that have been making these commitments to renovate their stadiums. With that in mind, just how important is a project like this, especially with all the momentum, not just in football, but the other programs as well?
Yeah, it is critically important. And I know we've talked about taking advantage of the momentum many times, but it's an investment at the right time in the long-term future. So being willing to see that window and recognize we need to catch up in this area. What it'll do to how we look compared to our peers, we're going to look like an SEC football stadium. And if you look at us now, we have components that do, but now we're gonna finish that off around the entire bowl.
Another one up here.
Yeah, Gabe DeArmond again. My guess is this is for President Choi or Chair Winokur if she's still here, but if someone else can answer it, that's fine. Off topic, but last time we had a chance to talk to you all, there was still an ongoing question about you all settling financially or perhaps not with the former athletic director. Has that issue been taken care of?
I'm looking at our general counsel. Yeah.
It's not a yes or no, it's just it's not something I'll do as part of it today.
We have another question back here.
Sterling Holmes, Sports Radio 810 WHB. How often do you feel like a revitalization like this needs to happen? When I went to school, there was one when they went to the SEC, obviously one on the other end zone, now this. How often does something like this, in your eyes, happen?
It really depends on the status of your stadium. I don't see, if you look at what we have here now, imagining something of this magnitude again in the next decade is hard to see. But you're going to continue to need to invest, periodically to upgrade. And from here, once this structure is in place, you can see potential opportunities in different ways, but certainly nothing of this magnitude.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
On behalf of everyone here, thank you very much for attending. We look forward to a bright future in all of Mizzou athletics, and especially this coming Saturday. Thank you.
So at this point, what I want to do is make Commissioner Greg Sankey available for conversations with you, members of the media. I don't want to go through his long list of accomplishments. We know all of that, but I do want to give one example. When COVID occurred, there were many conferences that were confused and really unwilling to take the risks that were needed. But as a conference, Commissioner Sankey led the efforts to bring football back. And remember, that year, we had an all-conference schedule. That really set the tone for the future of college athletics, and I want to thank him for that leadership. But that's just one example of the many innovations and bold moves that this commissioner has led, and I am so pleased that Mizzou is a part of the SEC, the strongest conference in the nation, and we're going to be continuing to be that premier conference. With that, Commissioner Sankey.
Thank you, President Choi. It's great to be here. I was really impressed to have received a depiction of the project a few weeks ago in advance of my travel here. But it caused me to think back to a couple of things. First of all, I was privileged to be a part of our conference office delegation in November 2011 when we traveled to Columbia to celebrate the addition of Missouri as our 14th member. Exited a plane. I think we were in the student union. I don't know if I've used the proper term. I rounded a corner, and one of the members of the drum line at the university was a young man who was part of our church, our family's small group in Plano, Texas. And that's the familiarity that you don't know you have sometimes that you actually have. Fast forward, the end of the football season, 2013, Mizzou played Texas A&M at home and captured the East Division championship. And I was here for that experience. I became commissioner in 2015. I was here to experience a new softball stadium when our conference tournament played in that beautiful facility. I was sharing earlier with the board, I was here on a cold and somewhat rainy day to watch a cross-country championship hosted here. And it's been a privilege for me personally to experience some of these moments at the University of Missouri, and then to be here today for this announcement and to see what the future holds. I'm not an architect. My name's not Art Vandelay, if you are a Seinfeld fan. But we traveled to Wrigley Field last year. Laird was not a part of that. We brought athletics directors and other staff intentionally to see, knowing the rivalries in the National League, I want to be careful, but the honoring of tradition and the activation of opportunities to bring people in a new way. And I actually think you see that here with the campus-facing front of this project, the 6 columns. The Rock M and the honoring of that tradition while still modernizing and providing opportunities that people want to be a part of in a special way. So it's great to be here. A couple opening comments. We're trying to figure out how to have 7 of the top 7 football teams in the poll. You know, we want to be excellent in what we do. Knowing that here at Mizzou there's a rebuilding in volleyball. We have remarkable competition in volleyball and women's soccer. I remark one of my favorite experiences, and one of those memorable experiences from a competitor standpoint is Carissa Schweitzer when she was competing at Mizzou. And to see her as an Olympian is a reward, not simply for you and knowing what you've built into her life, but for me as the commissioner of the conference, knowing what she achieved in a great way. We're at an interesting time in college sports. Plenty of questions, plenty of opportunity when you think about it from a different perspective. And during these times of change, there's no place I'd rather be personally, and I think the same for our 16 universities than in the Southeastern Conference. So with that, I'll see what you ask and figure out what I answer in response.
We can do this the same way. Folks want to raise their hand. Yes, Eli.
Eli Hoff, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Commissioner, thank you. A bit off topic from the stadium today, but the Disney DirecTV dispute, is that something that reaches a level of concern for you or the SEC?
Each time there's a carriage negotiation, sure, it's a level of attention. And in fact, I had not even opened the email from my friends at DirecTV, and it was on social media that they had written me a letter. We've stayed in constant communication with our colleagues at ESPN and Disney. I know they're working diligently to provide the opportunity to restore the service. We'll see what happens. It's a changing time in the business. I actually am a person who went to Best Buy in the 90s, bought a box, and installed my own DirecTV satellite dish, and I've pivoted. And I use YouTube TV, but these things happen. We've avoided significant disruption. We did have one last year for about a week, and hopefully they can find their way to a conclusion.
Hi there, Callum McAndrew, Columbia Daily Tribune. With the House NCAA settlement currently stalled in the courts, what are you telling administrators currently about how to proceed?
I don't know that I'd use the word stalled. There are questions that have to be answered. In May, there was an announcement about agreement to terms. Then there's a long form. Then there's hearings. And I was open back to our football media days in mid-July that this is a process. We're not at an end just because the press release was issued. You saw questions raised, questions maybe not answered as clearly as they needed to be. And so we'll keep working. This was a hard work project for months to arrive at even the opportunity for settlement conversations to take place in the spring. It was a hard work project to come to an agreement on a long form, and we'll see if it is able to proceed. Those questions will need to be answered in the next few weeks, and this is subject to a court and a legal process, not to my decision making. But we've done the hard work. We'll continue to work to see if it can be clarified and see what decisions might be made at the court level.
Commissioner Gabe DeArmond with Power Mizzou. We're, I don't know, 2-3 years into NIL, and there seems to be talk around the country of the way Missouri has done this since it was, initiated. I'm curious your view of how Mizzou has maybe been ahead in that space, or how they've operated and the impact it's had on this football program.
Gabe, you can imagine there's a lot of commentary that I receive about name, image, and likeness activities. We're now 3+ years into its onset, starting in 2021, so people have perspectives and opinions. I'll go back to some of the fundamentals. I have never thought, and I think we as a conference have never thought, that the right way to do this is on a state-by-state basis. And I think we've seen why. A young person being recruited by 10 different universities has to figure out 10 different state laws and what they're told and what people tell them. We've put some level of authority, if you will, outside of our university leadership framework, collectives, others on the outside. There's no consumer protection, meaning the young person who is the consumer of this activity. There's no transparency. I think those are concerns in all 50 states and in every athletic program in our conference and need to be addressed. I know there are ongoing conversations in Congress. I know it is a difficult political time in our country, though, to accomplish an objective, and so I don't simply rely on that expectation, but we do need national standards. Our student athletes deserve to know when they line up across the line of scrimmage that the people on the other side in the other uniforms are held to the same set of standards. Our young people deserve better than this patchwork. Our young people deserve better than whispers and promises from people that they don't know. Our young people deserve better than agents who can print out on a printer a business card or a contract with no oversight. They deserve better than that. That's not subject to a conference's control, but we have a responsibility to lead in changing the current environment and making it healthier for the young person. Name, image, and likeness is not going away. This is not about taking that opportunity away. It's making sure that it's healthy. And it sets young people up for success in life. It doesn't create circumstances where they're controlled beyond their college experience.
Commissioner Sankey, Vahe Gregorian, Kansas City Star. I wonder if you might just reflect on Missouri's evolution into the fit that it is now in the conference from those early days, or if you could just elaborate on that a little bit, about where it started and where it seems to be now.
Keeping in mind that moment, I was down on the field, and we had field storming penalties in 2013. It did happen in an orderly fashion, so I give Mike Alden and his team back then credit for helping that happen in an orderly fashion. When we were here in St. Louis in 2018 for a basketball tournament, it was a sign that this is a different footprint. And I said at that time, people never imagined that we'd be playing an SEC basketball tournament in St. Louis, Missouri. I said at media days, and I'll repeat, we're 16 universities. We're not universities that started, universities that moved in the 90s or the 2010s or the 2020s. We're 16 strong universities in the strongest athletic conference in the nation. And I think Missouri fits perfectly in that. And from my perspective, the continuing growth of the program, and if you go through the investment in facilities, the south end zone, now the north end zone vision, but the way they support the student athletes, the way they've been intentional about personal growth over the last decade plus, I think is a tribute to the university. I think one of the experiences I had yesterday as we were talking about the SEC network at what we call a content board meeting, is the intentional way that the athletic department has integrated learning experience into production facilities around SEC network and ESPN programming. All of that's a seamless representation of Missouri in the Southeastern Conference.
A question back here.
Kyle Helms, ABC 17 News in Columbia. You touched on it a little bit, Commissioner Sankey, but you know, seeing the momentum around Mizzou athletics right now and and projects like this, you know, just how important is it not just for Mizzou, but also the SEC as a whole?
Well, we'll start with campus. And I think big picture from our university is the time of changing student demographics, growth and change and cranes on campus is a sign of life when you look at universities. There are enrollment pieces, there are faculty pieces, there are status pieces, there are programmatic pieces, and some of that growth is seen externally, and this is about part of that growth. And I've never been one who says that the athletics department is the front porch to a university, because that simply isolates something. An athletics program is part of a university. It's very visible. It draws people in. It draws people in who may not have a natural affiliation, but who want to be part of something bigger than themselves. It draws people from different regions who explore a university because perhaps they saw it represented on a television set during an athletic contest. I think those are incredibly healthy opportunities, and the continued growth is a part of what happens on campuses. That's, again, a sign of life.
We have time for one more question.
It's just getting warmed up.
Keep going. Joey Van Zumeren with Missouri on SI. Commissioner Sankey, I'm just wondering if you could kind of add your thoughts to what Curator Blitz had talked about of programs that had seen success in football but were a little bit neglectful to invest and continue to build up those programs, and why you think it's important that Missouri invests on this in this moment now.
So one of the realities of this role is I can say things and then go back to my room later that day and look at the scroll on ESPN and they're quoting what I say. So I prefer to speak to the strength of commitment present here today, the representation of the structure that opens to campus and invites people in, and the reference to using it beyond 7 or 8 football games a year, but integrating the facility into the community and the community into the facility, both at a university level, at a city level, and I would argue at a state level, as you've heard of vision. There are going to be ebbs and flows competitively. What you want to do, in my view, is lay a foundation upon which you continually build to achieve success. And I would evaluate, without commenting on any other program, that's exactly what needs to be done and exactly what you're seeing here today. And it's not a moment, it's a continuing point of progress, and that's to be commended.
Thank you, Commissioner Sankey.
Thank
That
you.
concludes today's press conference. Thank you.